Hey y'all, this is Moni.
And this is Kat.
Hey Kat. And this is the Fake Ass Book Club. Wait, can we both say it or no?
All right, guys. So welcome back to the Fake Ass Book Club. This is your girl, Moni.
And this is Kat.
Hey, Kat.
Hey, Moni.
Yo, you looking good, son.
I have to because I'm sitting next to you and you look amazing. I don't want people to look at me like, oh, that poor girl.
Listen, son, it's called accountability.
Or, I'm sorry, that poor older woman.
That's true, because there's nothing girlish about me anymore except for my childish sense of humor.
And your waistline. Listen, people pay money for that waistline. I don't care what you're talking about.
Sure.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Hey, guys, we're back. Oh, my gosh, I'm so excited to be here, friends. So it's so crazy because I don't know. I feel like we play ourselves a lot. Can we talk about that just briefly? I feel like
I was doing it earlier.
And
I'm going to go home and make dinner.
The hell? You ain't about to do shit, okay? It's not gonna happen. I mean, I think it's good to have goals. I think it's good to aim high. But also I think it's good to be realistic. And so what had happened was, actually it wasn't like it was unattainable. It just didn't happen. So like we announced a book, okay? And we're not talking about it. So this has never happened before. Yet. That's a good point to make. We will talk about it. Mm-hmm. Don't you worry.
In depth.
But also, you know, when we have fun opportunities to slide in other topics, we do that. And so this is why it's awesome that it's a fake ass book club. This is why it has to be that. And so you guys don't fear because we have a really fun topic. If you'll notice, if you guys are watching YouTube, we're fancy today. And it's because we had a job to do, okay? We had the opportunity to do sort of a talk back after a production of Clue at the Indiana Repertory Theatre. So basically, we're fancy now, okay? And we wanted to talk about our experience. I thought it would be just really fun to kind of tap into that whole conversation, give our thoughts about the show, and kind of go from there. So hopefully you guys are with it. Are you with it, Kat?
I'm with it.
All right.
If you with it, I'm with it.
I'm with it. So you guys, let's dedicate the episode really quickly here. Hands over your hearts. You guys, thank you and welcome back. We want to thank our patrons. First and foremost, you guys are the best. Okay, we appreciate you. Also, all of our supporters. And I want to dedicate this week's episode to, man, maybe I'll just dedicate it. We saw a lot of really beautiful prom people downtown. Let's to all the, you know what, to that high school experience and that like first time going to prom, getting dressed up, the whole experience. Shout out to all the parents who are making their kids' dreams come true, buying that expensive ass shit they got to do now. Like these dresses or gowns. Y'all buying lace fronts for y'all kids, lashes, nails, pedicure, shoes. Like, y'all broke now. And, you know, shout out to
the last of that little tax money.
Yo, it's done. It's done now.
It's over.
So shout out to all you guys. Shout out to the kiddos making memories. It's so cute. What about you, friend?
Yes, and I really believe when you find beauty, you find inspiration. And I found inspiration at a little cafe called Farm Free Life over by 82nd and Allisonville. So that's my dedication. It's going out to them.
I like that.
So yeah, check it out. Black owned.
Like black
owned.
And
yeah, you might like what you find there.
Excellent. All right, you guys. So let's get into it. So
dedication over.
Thank you. We do need that. It needs to be official, you guys. Dedication over. So yeah, let's get into it, you guys. I wanted to talk about our experience today. Like it was literally today. Hence the fanciness, and
we went to the theater.
It was just so nice. Like, and I want to talk about how we had this opportunity. I honestly, let's rewind it back. I should be actually dedicating this episode to Ebony Chappelle.
Let's bring back. I'm bringing me to back up. On the fly.
Yeah, so Ebony, thank you. We want to dedicate, or I want to dedicate. We want to rededicate this because I feel like I have to owe this opportunity to you. You were nice enough to join us for our talk back at the Phoenix Theater, which was fantastic. Shout out to the Phoenix Theater as well, and all of the wonderful actors and actresses.
They wrapped 2 Mile Hollow yesterday.
Yes,
yeah,
and it was awesome. So we got the opportunity to work with the IRT through Ebony, so I just really wanted to take this moment to say thank you for that so much. Thank you for supporting our show. Thank you for the positive feedback. Thank you for, like, I feel like like I'm older than you technically, but also you have more experience in this space, and so I really do appreciate you like sharing your expertise and just being so open and kind, and we really enjoy hanging out. So yeah, I had to throw you in there, girl, because you're the real MVP.
Okay,
so
now dedication over for real this time.
For real. All right, you guys. So yeah, so she put us in contact with Devin Jen, who is also one of my best friends right now. He is the Director of Inclusion and Community Partnerships through the Indiana Repertory Theatre. And he has a podcast called Green Room Meditations. And he'll interview different people in the theater, whether they're actors, creative directors, whatever their position is in the theater, and kind of start those conversations. And he also curates the talkbacks with the IRT. And so he invited us because of Ebony's recommendation to come out and do a talkback after Clue. And let me just say, I was honored and grateful. And I was like, man, this is so much fun.
It is fun. I hope that this is more of this in our future.
There's no hoping. Like, there is more of it because
I mean, the crystal ball is spoken.
I mean, it just is. It has to, because I've been enjoying it so much. So
yeah.
It was really, really dope. So he curated this conversation because he wanted to he was interested in curating a panel discussion and sort of like the influence of pop culture and modern theater, and then just how like the idea of Clue was a game first and it sort of morphed into movies. And just, I mean, like, Clue is super, I mean, it's the quintessential.
It's iconic.
Yes, it's
because
pretty
people
iconic.
know all this stuff. Like, if you say, was it Colonel Mustard with the candlestick in the library?
Yeah.
Like, and it's funny, like, because we didn't even answer this question on the thing, like, if you've ever even played Clue.
Right, did you?
I never played it, like, for real. I think we had, like, a version of it at my grandmother's house, and, like, we would play with it, but we weren't playing Clue.
I feel like I've played it before, but it's been so long that I'm like,
we weren't organized enough. You have to have someone who's like, we have to do that. Like, also shout out to Board Games with Variant Hats, my cousin. She does a board game podcast. So like, she's great at that whole thing of like reading all the instructions and, being organized and having all the pieces. And
she's not like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah. I would just be throwing Monopoly money everywhere and just like I'm just entertaining myself. So
making house rules. Okay?
Oh, so many house rules. You used to be able to pay your way out of jail.
Yo.
Which is how it works in real life.
Listen, you just have to have some money. That's it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we were just, I don't know, like I just felt honored to have the opportunity, and it was a really cool conversation. So I think before we kind of get into the conversation we had, let's talk a little bit more about our experience with Clue. So again, I've played the game, but most recently, I don't know if you guys are familiar with like the breakout rooms and
escape rooms
and stuff like that, where they have themes. So I did a date night with the hubby, and we went to a Clue, like themed breakout room, or what is it? What are you calling it? Is that
escape room?
Escape room.
I think they are called breakout rooms as well, though. So I think they're both acceptable.
Okay, y'all know what I'm talking about. And it was like a Clue theme, and it was so much fun. It was cool. And
so who did it?
I don't remember, but it was I remember the weapon was a lead pipe.
The lead pipe, okay.
And that's all.
You know what? I will say this. It makes murder funny. Like, because it was so wild to be laughing at. I think it does, because we do both sort of sometimes have like a macabre sense of humor every once in a while.
Yes, very much
so it plays into that without being gruesome.
Well, because I need that. Like, I can't just, I think we touched on this a little bit. Like, it kind of taps into whether or not you enjoy like murder mysteries in real life. So, you have the true crime genre, which we've talked about before. I can't handle that.
I'm not into it.
It's not that they aren't compelling stories. Like, I
That's
totally
true.
get it. I understand why they're fascinating. Like, getting a glimpse into the psychology behind why people like snap or, these things. Like, I think that we have an attraction to things that are on the edge of like wouldn't.
Oh, for sure. Because I think In Cold Blood was considered to be like one of the first true crime like stories. I think it was Truman Capote. And I remember reading that years ago, and I mean, it was a compelling story, but it was nothing where I was like, ooh, I need to, because I had said before, like when I read a book I really like, I usually read everything that author has written, and with stuff like that, I'm like, I'm good.
I'm okay now. I don't need to see any more of that.
Just because there's so much, I've always been more drawn to fantasy. Do you know what holiday's coming up?
Only because, I mean, there's a few, but the one you're talking about is May the 4th.
Yes, May the 4th be with you. I like a good sci-fi fantasy
Look at the
journey.
arms flailing now,
Like, I
okay?
want to go somewhere totally different. Like, someone getting killed in an alley is way too close to my reality.
That could be me.
Yeah. I
I'm
don't
with that.
usually, not for entertainment. Like, for me, when I'm doing true crime stuff, it's because I want to look at statistics on how to avoid true crime.
Right. That was why your New Year's resolution was to gain upper body strength and learn how to defend yourself.
I didn't even say the upper body strength part. I just want to be able to fight off attackers.
Well, I added that for you.
Well,
Yeah,
I do,
for
okay.
a
I
rest.
do need. It was just like that was a hint.
It was just sort of like, I'm going to throw that in there.
Maybe
for
do
you.
a push up. I hate push ups so much.
They help though. You know what I mean? They do help a little bit. They do. It all hurts. So
My child.
that's actually why I can't really deal with the true stuff. Now I used to. I mean, like I would watch the first 48 sometimes because I mean they are like, oh my gosh, what's gonna happen? But then it's just like ultimately it leaves me with a lot of anxiety and sadness, and I'm like, I can't keep watching this.
Especially with the part where they said they usually don't even solve them.
They don't. It's always just like so.
It's like if we get it in the first 2 days, good,
It's
cool.
probably not.
After that, we got free shrugs.
And to be honest, too, it feels really kind of like yucky to me that like somebody dying is like I'm sitting here.
Entertainment.
That's my entertainment. It's like, you know what? Let me see that one show where this dude dies and they don't solve his murder and like it's
That
just
was
all bad.
the criticism of the Dahmer documentary.
Yeah, kind of.
And I mean, it's understandable.
It's just
I
hard for me to
mean,
take in and just be like, I mean, honestly, I have to try to extract the good. Like I'm trying to find like, okay, well, what's good though? Because if I give this a lot, this makes me sadder than I need to be.
Yeah, but the good thing about Clue is it wasn't like that.
No, it's the humor.
It's
Let's
so
talk about the
silly.
humor.
It's like a
very
daggone near
camp.
almost vaudevillian.
Very much. It was giving Muppets.
It was so giving Muppets. Oh, I loved it so
Guys love
much.
them.
Because I was thinking about the color scheme even more because I said it reminded me a little bit of The Office. Like just the ensemble of wacky characters reminded me of The Office. But now that I was thinking about it too, like The Office used a lot of color blocking to track the characters and stuff.
That's very iconic with Clue because even in the breakout room, there was a sequence where we had to, so in each room, there were these lights. I shouldn't be giving it away, but like you had to, it would do it really fast and then you'd have to repeat the pattern.
Oh.
So they use lights as a theme. So I think it's cool that you picked up on that because I'm pretty sure that's a thing. You know, even with Colonel Mustard, like he's in yellow. And then Mr. Green, he's in green. And Scarlet, she's wearing red. So it's, you know.
That line in the movie where he's like, I'm a homosexual.
Oh my gosh. The movie.
Took me
Oh my God.
out. Oh my
see if
goodness.
I can
Just the
find about
way
the
he
film.
said that.
Let's talk
okay.
about the movie a little bit. I'm going to give you guys, so this is just the Wikipedia thing that I have. So Clue, the remake of the first movie, because I guess there's two, it was in 1985, and it was based on the board game of the same name. Let's see, produced by Deborah Hill. And so the person that I remembered seeing it, so I saw it back in the day, Tim Curry. I don't know if you guys remember him. He was in the Rocky Horror Picture film.
He was.
Was he in drag?
Probably.
I'm pretty sure that was a thing. But anyway.
He probably had on some leather.
And lipstick. I think it was a whole situation. I've
never seen it, but he's iconic for so many things.
He was so good as the
You know what?
butler.
He was also in it was a Sylvester Stallone movie that was kind of like a play called Oscar. And he played like a linguistic doctor or something. He's just so funny. Like he's
Sylvester
just
Stallone movie.
Yeah.
You guys getting your time cap like.
Oh, it was
used
so
to be-
fun because it was the
Really?
same thing where it was just kind of these zany characters that kept like grabbing the wrong bag and people kept coming and going and it's like, oh, I thought you were like you were the and then it was like, oh no, it's like no, I'm da. Yeah.
Well, and it's the back and forth. It's the language is quick. The movements, like the whole thing is very
the
like,
choreography.
It was really good.
Yeah, the timing with the doors. It was just it was such a big bag of silly.
They did a lot. So you guys, let's see. The plot. So 6 strangers arrive at an ominous invitation at a secluded New England mansion, despite most of the guests being from Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. Greeted by Wadsworth, the butler, and Yvette, the maid, each guest receives a pseudonym, which is like, a pet name or a nickname, to maintain confidentiality. So we had Colonel Mustard, Mrs. White, Mrs. Peacock, Mrs. Green, Professor Plum, and Miss Scarlet. And so the seventh guest arrived is Mr. Body, who Wadsworth reveals has been blackmailing the others. And so at one point, Mr. Body says, hey, actually, you guys are here to kill the butler because he knows all you guys' secrets and we don't have to do this whole thing. The lights go out and then Mr. Body dies. And then hilarity ensues and lots of murders. And it's just really fun. So I'd prefer, if I'm going to take in murders, like, can we have laughs in there?
And we don't have to watch the people get like horribly killed.
No,
like
the
I
lights
don't.
went off and then they came back.
Yeah, that was the thing I like. We talk about Lovecraft Country a lot on here, and that was my least favorite part of Lovecraft Country was watching all the gruesome violence.
You know what's weird though? So same thing like when you say, like when we were talking about, I don't want to necessarily watch true crime. So like I can watch something terribly violent when it's like, say like an X-Men movie or something.
Yeah. Oh, I watch Wolverine
terrible,
slash some people up.
I mean, because that last Wolverine boy was very
Oh yeah,
that one was
Logan.
Yeah, was that the last one with the little girl?
Yeah. I was crying so hard at the end of that movie.
What?
That little girl.
She did a good job.
She was like,
shout out to you,
and
young
also
lady.
too. Logan died. Oh, I'm spoilers for Logan.
Didn't see that coming. That was random, right? Oh my god.
But no, and also just the. We're not here to talk about Logan.
We're not,
that movie.
but you might
I might have to go home and watch it. That
Fake
movie
book
was
over here.
fantastic.
Hold on,
But yeah, but a lot of times, well, that's why I like a lot of sci-fi fantasy stuff because it's so removed from reality, it doesn't hurt me. But like actually seeing people getting like realistically murdered, like that hurts my heart.
It's really kind of messed up. I think Daphne Keene is her name. Shout out to you, young lady.
She
you
was
were amazing in that movie.
fantastic.
But anyway, like I can watch something like that and it's like, okay, this isn't, whatever. But I don't know. There's just something when it's like super realistic and it comes from like a real story that happened. It's like, oh my god, it makes me feel bad.
It turns into like tragedy porn.
It kind of does, and it starts to feel like there just needs to be a balance. I don't think there's anything wrong with being interested in hearing about those stories because they're real.
Mm-hmm. And we should learn.
And we should learn from them. And especially like when you can, like you say, figure out how to be safe, things to look out for, or if it sort of highlights how our criminal justice system could be improved, or things that get slipped through the cracks.
Do you ever try to solve the murder, like when you're watching something like that, or even like in Clue? Did you really try to figure it out?
I didn't today, no.
Okay.
I was just watching it. Like
at first I do because my mind wants to solve puzzles, but then at a certain point I was like, it don't matter.
Most of the time that's how I feel. I just be like, I'm just trying to watch it.
Let me just relax and figure out what happened as it goes on, because this it's not even logical anyway, so it's not even gonna matter. But like a lot of times I remember growing up and watching like with my parents, because I feel like my mom would watch a lot of like the late night drama, like kind of like CSI, but before that.
Sure.
Like there used to be the old, whatever used to be on or whatever. And a lot of times with that, I'd be trying to guess who did, or like Columbo. Did you ever watch Columbo? Yeah. So like I could never figure out who did it on Columbo.
Wait.
But I remember my dad watched Columbo all the time.
Columbo.
Or like Murder, She Wrote. Like
Jessica Tandy.
Yeah. Like
first of all, I'm sorry. This is taking me out because I haven't thought about Columbo.
Because it jogged a lot of stuff. Because watching the version of Clue,
put this in the notes for the children. I mean, honestly, there's no children probably watching this at this point.
But like the Clue, watching it because that was from the 80s. Because it was
like Columbo. I'm sorry.
No, because I'm thinking it reminded me of just the whole the play and really the movie too. It reminded me a bit of an Agatha Christie novel.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah,
so.
Where you're just kind of watching them solve who did it. Like the whole thing is just because it starts with a murder and then you work.
Because I think it was kind of like the discussion. One of the discussion points was, I think, how has her work influenced Clue? And I think you just said it.
Yeah, the structure of it, because that's how. And I used to love listening to an Agatha Christie book on tape.
The Christie's out here. She's one of the most celebrated, like
and actually my
fiction
mom,
writers.
she's watching an Agatha Christie based show right now. She watches a lot of stuff on BritBot. She loves British television.
Okay.
And it's a show about Hercule Poirot.
Who the hell is that?
He was a lot of the main characters in the Agatha Christie novels.
Oh, wait, what is his name?
Hercule Poirot. Monsieur Poirot.
Is that French?
Yeah. But I mean, you that happens sometimes. Like, cause isn't she British?
It's allowed. I just didn't know. I was.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, she wanted
I
to
just
write
done it.
about a French detective.
Okay, I like
Yeah.
French detectives. They're fine. I mean,
Yeah.
I just the words. I mean, the French accent. I'll just make sure that's what I was. Look at old Agatha.
Yeah.
Dame Agatha, Mary, Clarissa,
Pro-
Christie, Lady,
Prolific.
Lady,
Very
Mayhem
prolific
Murder.
writer.
Wow.
And
Damn.
but it was so crazy because a lot of times when you find out why the person murdered the other person, you end up feeling sorry for him, and like he ends up sometimes
Like,
helping
of
them
course
get
you
off.
Killed him.
Yeah, because like Murder on the Orient. Oh, maybe I'll go.
That murder on the
Oh yeah,
Orient Express.
because I don't think I think I watched a really old version of it. I don't think I've seen a modern interpretation of it.
Well, and I keep hearing Knives Out
I've heard that too.
is a thing that kind of is based on that same sort of. I haven't seen.
What
that
about
either.
Only Murderers in the Building? Have you like
I've
watched
never even
that?
heard of
That is, I just Tina Fey, Martin Short,
I love Martin Short. He's hilarious.
who's Steve Martin, and Selena Gomez. I started watching because it's about a true crime podcast, or a bunch of people who follow a true crime podcast, and then someone in their building gets murdered. Ooh. So it's one of those things where I started and I fall asleep.
That happens.
It does. And then it's hard to, because you got to rewatch. It's like, oh, was that this part or this part?
Yeah, man.
My life's so hard.
I will say that genre, like that, just, I think a classic whodunit is, I think it sort of taps into that psychology of just like you said, when you first hear something, you're trying to figure it out. You're trying to solve the puzzle. Mm-hmm. And I think that like we're always trying to learn about everything that's happening around us and trying to understand it and take it in. So I think that that's part of the allure of these kinds of stories. And I think this is why they're timeless. I think this is why you can take a story that, I mean, if it was based on Agatha Christie stuff, I mean, like this, or even Cluedo, like it was like, Cluedo was the first person, I think, I forget the man, that's not the man.
Pluto?
The name Cluedo. It wasn't called Clue. Yeah, it wasn't called Clue at first. It wasn't until Parker Brothers bought it, they turned it to Clue. Actually, everywhere else in the world it's called Cluedo except for in North America.
I didn't know
so
that.
So we're behind. Yeah.
That's
and
wild.
I forget that man's name, but this was forever ago. And the fact that like we're still talking about it now just goes to show the
We are so tired.
There's too many syllables.
Universality?
Yes.
Okay.
I think I was trying to add an extra syllable. I was trying to be fancy.
It's
like
universal, y'all.
I was trying to be fancy, like my sparkle.
It's so universal. You don't even know.
Right, I should have just switched up a bit. But yeah, it's a super universal story, and I think that it appeals to a wide variety of stuff. And I think it's inspired a lot because I think about like, so my kiddos play a game or have played a game, Among Us. Are you familiar?
Mm-mm.
So it's an online game, and basically there's like a group of people. You get into this virtual room, and somebody among you is a killer. You don't know who the person is.
Okay.
And
So it's like murderer.
Yeah, it's a clue thing. Like and you have to figure out who it is.
Or werewolf. Like, have you ever played that, like, in a group setting? Like, you have to, like, you basically, like, this group of people, and everyone has, like, a role, and you have to figure out who the werewolf is or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So I just
But then, like, you have to close your eyes, and then the werewolf kills someone.
Yes.
And then...
Or the winking murder thing.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Wink,
Where
wink,
someone winks at
murder,
you, and then you're
murder.
like, yeah, you got to figure out who's killing people.
Yeah.
So, yeah, those are fun.
Killing people's...
I guess we all just kind of want to a little bit.
Do you think about that? Do you think about how weird it is that we want to see that? What do you think that's about? Let's talk about that for a second.
It's such a human impulse to murder your way out of situations. What were we talking the other day? Oh, I talk so much. Where it was this idea of, human sacrifice is a big component of so many cultures.
It really is.
And we really think that there's something about, I remember I had a psychology teacher who said there's something in human beings that want to see blood. And because I don't even remember in The Road to El Dorado. Do you remember that cartoon?
It sounds familiar. Tell me about it.
El Dorado, the Magnificent. It was about these two Spanish dudes who stole away on a ship to South America. And then, because they lied their way, something where they were like, oh, well, we got the map to the lost city of gold in South America or whatever.
That's always a thing.
And then they end up,
it's like, ooh, I get to steal from indigenous people.
yeah, but but then they end up in a culture where they were sacrificing people. And so there was like a good Aztec priest and a bad one. And the skinny one was the bad one and the fat one was the good one. And the skinny Aztec priest was like, yeah, we got to sacrifice, to our gods. And he was like, because you know why gods want blood? And they were like, no. It's like, because gods don't bleed. Because that's how he figured out the Spanish dudes weren't really gods, because he saw them bleed. Because at first they were worshiping them as gods.
Oh, gosh.
And then when he saw them bleed, he was like, you ain't no god.
Oh, damn. This was a cartoon?
Let's pull up. I want you to see her face, because Rosie Perez voiced one of the characters. She was one of the indigenous women. Okay. Actually, I want you to see it on nice and large. Here we go. Okay. Oh, I might cosplay as this. It's pretty fun.
As her character?
Uh-huh.
Is this old? Is this from 100 years ago?
It's not from 100 years ago. It was maybe late 90s, early 2000s, something like that.
A long time ago.
I can't. I'm gonna have to put El Dorado Rosie Perez, because I can't remember her character's name.
First of all, she's iconic anyway.
She is.
Rosie. Shout out to you, lady.
There you go. Chell was her name.
Oh, I saw that.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Damn, it's like it never.
But that was for kids though. It was like, wow.
Oh my.
Wow.
Oh, she's cute. Yeah.
She is, but it's like,
No, don't turn it off.
Right.
I need that.
Have it.
But okay, yeah. So I do remember that. I didn't remember the storyline, plot, or anything like that.
Oh,
I do remember the animation, however.
Yeah, it was a whole look.
Impact. Yeah, she's cute.
But
you cute her.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I know, get some long weave and wear a waist trainer for a couple weeks.
Yeah, it's cute. I like it. Very nice.
No, but it was just that idea of so many cultures over continents have gotten the idea of like, hey, let's murder this person and see if the gods like us now.
Better, yeah.
And
I don't know, it just feels like
so I guess we just fantasize about solving our problems with murder.
I don't know. It's almost like maybe it's like seeing a car wreck. Which I don't enjoy that either. I'm always super annoyed when people are like stopping
rubbernecking.
To look.
Yeah,
bitch, be glad it's
maybe
not you.
It just makes them feel safe. Let's talk about Hunger Games. Remember when we read Hunger Games? It's a very similar sort of psychological thing where, because I even said even this resistance from some people to roll back the police department, it's because they feel like these murders are keeping them safe. And I think there's a certain logical fallacy that goes on in our brains where it's like, well, if these people are getting murdered, it's keeping me safe.
Yeah,
right.
That's super weird. Let me see. I'm trying to see if I can find anything. Why are people obsessed with true crime? That's a good question.
Yeah.
Crime stories seem more popular than ever. Book shows, TVs.
Oh, well, Titus, he put it down pretty good. And Titus Andromedon from Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, because he was talking to Kimmy about how I might actually just throw up the clip because he explains it really well.
Do it.
But so let's have Titus explain it.
Titus, do that thing.
Thank you, Titus. Yeah, he was basically just saying people like it because it's titillating, like a horror movie, and they also feel safe because it didn't happen to them, and then they feel like a good person because they feel bad for that person that the bad thing happened to.
Ooh, I can see that. It's like, oh my gosh, I sympathize. Yeah, and I think the disgusting part ends up being, when people start glamorizing it, like
the Dahmer story, yeah,
and it's a costume
where it's just like,
now.
oh, well, he was just afraid of being alone. It's like, nah, lots of people are afraid of being alone, and they manage not to do all that crazy stuff.
I think we just have to be careful. I think it's good to try to understand why people do stuff, but it's not an excuse necessarily.
It's mostly just I just want to know so I can keep it from happening.
That part.
Or like we should pay more attention to Black women when they're like, hey, I think that guy's up there murdering people. It's like, quiet, darky. It's like, that's what I took from the story.
Okay. Listen, that was a takeaway. You know what I'm saying? Like that definitely was a takeaway. And I feel like it's
and you can kill people for a long time as long as you're just killing Black people.
You can.
Yeah.
But you shouldn't.
No, you shouldn't.
It's not nice.
Shouldn't.
And it's not cool. But yeah, I don't know.
Oh God.
What?
Well,
just don't look over here. It keeps popping up. This is your iPad.
I'm sorry.
Okay?
It's my fault.
Yeah, this is exactly it is.
But
yeah, so I mean, I don't know. I don't have that particular obsession. I honestly don't like it. I don't like watching stuff where people are.
But if you go over to Patreon, we'll talk about it. You know what I mean? You know.
Sure. Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. What other aspects should we talk about specific to the show? I don't know. What was the most?
My favorite part was that. Spoilers for Clue. But
go see it.
Yeah, that chandelier
that's
falling on Mr. Green.
Chandelier was great.
Yeah, that chandelier scene took me. That's gonna make me happy for a really long time. And shout out to that actor. He was fantastic.
It was just a great.
Everybody
cast.
was the energy.
Very, very, very.
And it was such a beautiful theater. Like that was my first time going there. Like those. Shout out to the crew, because y'all made it look so seamless. Like, cause that was a lot of cues. Cause I was like, wow, they're doing. I mean, that's not the same thing too. When we saw 2 Mile Hollow, this one was a little more complicated, but just the way that they're able to time the lights and the sounds and the movements. You think it's easy. That stuff's not easy, especially with the actors too being like, because all of that stuff, all of their movements it was like a Beyonce concert.
It was well choreographed. And everything, everything that they do has a purpose and makes an impact. So whether it's the lights going down or the color of the lights changing, or what I was amazed with was just so they're supposed to be in this mansion. You really felt like you were movement in different spaces.
Yeah.
I mean, the set design, like, who are these people? Y'all were, like, matter of fact, I need to go on there and look. I might have to put them in the notes. I might put, like, at least a link to their website where you can go on there and look who did it, because it was really, really good. If you're in Indy, I mean, they're not even paying us to say this, but it was a really, really great show.
It's so
It was so good if you get a chance
I would
to
recommend, though, I feel like Ebony had the right idea of just Ubering instead of trying to park. Parking was a hassle.
Parking is dumb.
It's a weird parking garage with a lot of weird angles.
Yeah, it was. And you don't have to park in that one. But still, it's
right.
just Uber if you can.
Right. It's a weird parking space downtown.
Yeah, because what is it, the Embassy?
Yeah.
Their parking garage is
right there on
it's
Washington.
dumb.
There's
it's
a lot
right
going on. So, I mean, yeah, it makes more sense. I should have just Ubered.
From?
My little parking space I got over by IUPUI.
Oh, got you. Yeah, you should have.
Yeah. But a lot of times I have to time that really well, though.
Yeah, I guess for me, it's like, are y'all surging or not? Because, like, y'all not about to gouge me for $50.
Yeah, and waiting, too. Because that was the thing, too, because I didn't want to leave you. I didn't want to be late. Let's clap up for us for being on. We were on time.
Okay.
That was a show? I need to rewatch the Chris Rock show they had on HBO. Because there was some really, really good bits, but one of them was a show called On Time, where it's a black show. You just win if you show up on time, and there were no winners.
It's like you guys are all losers. Yay! Listen, I thought I was gonna be late today. It was when I say shout out to the family for coming through and being a village. Thank you, because I mean, I wasn't there for my family today.
Yeah, I actually should have dedicated this episode to my son for helping me today. He was
put the music back.
He was right. There's so many dedications today, man. He was really helping me run point today, and I'm just so grateful. And then his spirit is just so good. It just makes everything better around him. So for everybody who made today happen, because today, yesterday, and tomorrow, boy.
I feel like we say this every episode.
I mean, maybe one day we're going to come in and be like, oh my gosh, this week was so relaxing. I just relaxed.
I just rolled my eyes at you. It's like,
so maybe one day we'll come in and say that and be like, oh my gosh, it was just nonstop massages.
But what was nice is that, like, in the middle of everything being crazy, like, we did get to really sit for like an hour and 45 minutes and be immersed into this wonderful story that's iconic, that's still culturally relevant. I like how, you know, you can kind of swap out these characters for, you know, more conscious casting, you know, some people of color in there. Because, I mean, honestly, these parts don't need to just be played by certain mainstream actors.
Nope.
Like, anybody can play them and add their dimension to it, which you know, it's just nice. I love what
It's
they
a
did.
good
It was awesome.
silliness. It's a really nice amount of just because I think that's why it reminded me so much of The Office. It was just silly and petty.
Loved it.
You know, like everyone is just the worst, but you also still like
It's like, yeah,
identify with them and
Yeah.
like well, that was one of the questions, like which character we identified with or saw ourselves in. What was it?
just basically who did we like relate to the most?
Relate
Or
to,
did we see ourselves? Did we see ourselves in
and it
these
was like I
characters?
didn't really necessarily because an example of when it's like I saw myself on television was Sinclair Living Single. I was like down to the micro braids. I was like, yes,
Sinclair.
yeah,
Wasn't she the ditzy one?
a little bit. Woo.
She was cute. That show was great.
It was just, you know, you have this little offbeat, weird black girl. You know,
Yeah.
I was just like, and it
But
was
she
like,
wasn't smart though. I guess that's the why I was like,
she had a wisdom about her though.
but you know what I'm talking about.
Sure,
Okay.
she was.
So that's why I didn't instantly go to her. But like the woo part, yes. Yes, that part.
That was one of the first times I looked on screen and was like, okay, that.
Okay.
But I didn't really get that feeling with this and a lot of media that I consume and still enjoy. But that's why it is nice when you do run into stuff that does have that. But I guess, I don't know if it's a good or bad thing. I just don't really expect that. I feel like even on The Office, like a couple seasons down, they added a black woman. But even then, it was like this real attempt for it to be inoffensive. And it was just like, so it just was boring.
It's like, no, thank you.
Right.
You
Like,
didn't have to do
I
that.
think the one time was like Daryl's baby mama, where that was kind of a very realistic.
So then, you know, that's so in the vein of that too, because it was kind of like, you know, there was a question about COVID and like, how do we think it sort of influenced the way we take in art and stuff like that. And I do, you know, I mentioned seeing like a push for like diversity, equity, and inclusion. We do see that in the arts. I think this is why like the conversation that we had after is something that these theaters and other cultural, you know, I mean, not even just to the arts, but different businesses, they're trying to include that. But it's like, you can tell when it's performative. Like, don't just add the black lady in there. Like, you know what I'm saying? Because it's, whereas it is important to see yourself, it's more important to relate to it though.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, I think it is kind of a gift in a way. Like, when you have to take in stories where you don't see yourself, you're instantly put in a situation where it's like, okay, I'm not seeing myself exactly, but what are the human experiences that I can relate to? And I think that it's a really nice experience for people who aren't mainstream to be able to do that. Like, when you're watching any kind of art and you see people who don't look like you and it still resonates and you still feel the feeling, I feel like that's so powerful. And I think that is why like the casting part is important. I think but it has to represent more than just my black face. Like, it has to be a genuine attempt to tap into the human part of like whatever story you're trying to tell. So I think really, again, it's just like everything. Like, if you just approach it from that human aspect, I think you get better results. And it shouldn't just be a performative sort of thing. So let me ask you then, how do you think our podcast influences like or adds to black culture? Like, what would you say you think that our podcast sort of, because that was a question that might have been asked, didn't get, you know, there was lots of different things we could have talked about, but I did see that and I thought,
Oh
like,
yeah, and shout out to Tiva for
shout out to you, Westside,
for headlining the panel for us and curating it.
Yes, very much.
I honestly don't feel like I'm in a position to answer that.
Really?
I really feel like people would have to tell us what we're bringing. There's what I feel like I want to bring,
so
though.
talk about that. Yeah.
Okay.
That's more fair.
Because that can be different. I know a lot of times my intentions are very different than what I actually bring out. But what my intention is to create a safe space for everyone to talk about how they really feel about things, but especially Black women, because we're so often asked to not do that because so much stuff is like really messed up when it comes to Black women. And so if you point that out, people are always like, or why aren't you more grateful?
I always want to take my finger and just shove it across your lips. Yeah, I do, but I'm
that's like, no. And it's like, I want everybody to, and even if it's wrong, like, just still be able to say it and talk about why, like, it's wrong. Because I don't like shutting down conversations. I want to have more conversations. And also, I want to get into the space where we're helping people launch their own podcasts. Because I think showing that we can do it, like, that's such a big part about it. It's like, if we, I loved at the end of Homecoming when Beyonce was like, if my country ass can do it, you know, and that's, I just gotta want it. Yeah, like, trust, I'm not working as hard as Beyonce. Yeah. I don't know.
I like, feel like you just said we are junior podcast and Beyonce is out here right now.
No, I was saying the crew at the IRT,
it was giving
the production was just amazing. But that's what I would like to bring is a safe digital space for people to talk about the things that bother them without being
well, you know what, I agree. I think we've talked about that, and I do think that that's something, well, because that's what we have with each other, so it's kind of like we have that, and it's like we want to share that with people. And I think
it's great.
It is great. And I think that it's important to, like, that energy has to be sort of curated. You know what I'm saying? So, you know what? Hold on. Pause.
Here, let's take a break. Let's just do our break now. Yeah.
Well, welcome back, you guys, from the break. My goodness. Just what an episode, man. We just had so much fun. I'm glad we got to share this. I'm glad we kind of pivoted a little bit to give our...
Oh, here's the other thing. Since we're doing dedications throughout the whole episode, Harder Brunch, thank you so much for letting us host last week's episode. Were we in a pickle, and boy, did you guys come to our rescue. We'll also, by the time this comes, we'll be in the future. So, man, the Middle Ground Comedy Festival, was that a good time.
Yeah, shout out to you guys.
Always a good time. So, wanted to make sure I hit that because, boy.
Yeah, I love it. Thank you for remembering that, man. You guys are the bestest. Also, too, just to kind of piggyback on, because I kind of asked you, like, what do you know, how do you see our pop culture influence? And I guess for me, I agree with what you're saying. And to add to that, just real quick, you know, my hope is that we are creating that space where people feel comfortable, because I think when we start talking about, like, reading books and taking in art, it gets very pretentious. It gets very stuffy, and it gets very mainstream.
Well, it can be. I don't think we do.
That's my point.
Okay.
So I'm saying that, like, when you think about those things, generally speaking, that's what comes to mind.
People think it's hoity-toity.
My hope is that we kind of erase that. You know, we create a space where we can, I mean, like, just as easily that we could be having a conversation about something serious, we might be talking about it in a not so serious way. We might be talking about something silly in a very serious way. You know, like, I just don't want people to, I want it to be approachable. I want it to be, you know, something that, like, you don't have to be, you know, you don't have to be anything. You can just have the interest and just still experience art. And it doesn't have to be this.
That's all it has to do. Yeah. It's just do what you like.
Do what you like.
Yeah, and art doesn't have to be this, oh, you didn't understand the symbolism of the... It's like, no. Like, I know.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I
That's
don't.
like somebody knocking your drink out of your hand or something. You know what I mean? You're like, what the fuck? Like,
There's so many songs. I just learned the lyrics to a song today that I've been singing forever. Like, there's some stuff you just don't know. I'm just.
oh, that happens to me all the time.
Yeah, like I'm not about to.
Oh,
it was
shaming
the
people like, oh, you've never seen that before. You never. I mean, there's nothing
I
wrong with
like
being
that
surprised.
quote you said where I was like, I'm so excited you get to like when someone hasn't read a
Experience that.
classic book or seen a movie.
You've said that to me before.
What?
Like, it'll be like something that you have already watched, and I'll be like, dang, I'm about to start that, and you're like, I'm jealous because you are starting from scratch.
You'll
like,
get
you
to see
take
it with
in.
fresh
I'm like,
eyes. Yeah.
What an awesome way to frame that though, because I think that if we did that more, that'd be way more encouraging, especially as the person of the group who, like will sometimes need a little nudging to, try to look at stuff that's not just something I would naturally gravitate toward or something that I feel like
And it's
that's
like, you haven't read
unattainable.
blah, blah, blah.
Right.
You haven't watched blah, blah. I always tell
No.
people, it's like, no, I haven't seen all the movies.
No, I haven't done all the things.
And I haven't read all the books. I'm sad. I'm never going to be able to read all the
isn't
books.
that exciting?
But that's the thing. There's always going to be a new book to read. That's the other side of that, is that there's always going to be something new to discover, which is pretty exciting.
Yeah, so hopefully you guys feel that from us. Hopefully, we make it relatable.
And when people try to make you feel bad, those aren't good people. Those aren't even usually smart people. Like, smart people are usually like some of the most humble people, like for real, like the real smart people.
You know what? I like people like that. I just think it's better to encourage people rather than to be like,
Yeah.
because that doesn't
It's
make
like, oh,
them
you're not as
inclusive.
smart as I am.
Yeah,
It's like, you're not as smart. And here's the thing, even the smartest person in the world, they're dumb about something.
that part.
You know what I mean? And that's the thing, like, most of us are dumb about most things.
Yeah.
Like, you're really lucky if you get good at one thing. If you can do one thing really well, wow. For the most part, we're just a bunch of Luddites.
What's that?
It's just, dumb.
Oh, see, vocabulary. I didn't know. She made me
At least I
think
think
about
so.
it.
Let me. I have to
Google
double
it.
check my
I don't
vocabulary
know.
all the time. I mess stuff up
Listen,
all the
I
time.
don't
I'll be like, oh, that was the other one.
Yeah, and
I'm pretty sure a Luddite is something dumb.
But my thing is, like, don't be afraid to say you don't know something or whatever. But also, too, I mean, I think it can be scary not scary, but it can be disheartening when people make you feel a way about
So,
not knowing all the things.
It's
So what
derogatory. It's a person opposed to new technology or ways of working.
Oh, okay.
So an example, a small-minded Luddite resisting progress. So I kind of used it right, but not really. But yeah, that's how you learn. You got a magic rectangle that'll tell you stuff.
Boom. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I wanted to add to that, you guys. If you're in the Indy area, you should definitely check out the show. Congratulations, IRT, for 50 years. And I think it is a positive thing that you guys are trying to include diverse conversations around the art that you create. And hopefully you continue to do that. And hopefully it is an authentic sort of endeavor to genuinely kind of explore, different stories, different point of views, and to put those, give people those opportunities to play these parts. You know what I mean?
And to feel that joy. I can feel the joy off of the performers while they're doing that. And that's something you can't. That's why live theater is so amazing. Because even if you're watching something, it's so different than being there.
It was a whole experience. So yeah, I would give it. Let's rate it. I'm gonna let you go first because
I'm giving it 5 candlesticks in the library because we're bookish.
Ooh, okay.
5 out of 5.
5 out of 5. I'm definitely giving it 5 out of 5. Maybe I'll give it 5 out of 5 chandeliers, man.
Ooh.
Yeah, man.
And then that's the
pretty
thing.
good.
Whenever there's a chandelier, I think of Phantom of the Opera.
Oh man, that's iconic too.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that like on Broadway?
I saw it at Clues.
Shut up. Let's go. Okay. Look at you, fancy.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure I saw it there as well. I saw Carmen there too, I think. Or was it Butler? I don't know.
I saw Carmen with you.
Did
It was
you?
a play. It was a ballet. We went to, I don't know where we were,
That
because
was
I remember I
100
fell
years
asleep. I know. It's hard to
You
believe.
fall asleep all the time. That ain't hard to believe.
Dude, it was a dark room.
Anywho, I know. I was like, "Are you asleep?"
You
I asked
did
in
keep-
the middle of the show. I elbowed
But
her, "Are
I
you
don't,
asleep?" She
at least I
wasn't.
don't snore.
She wasn't asleep though.
I wasn't
No.
asleep.
But you were you know what I'm saying? I've seen the face. You know how you know. And she looked a little too. nestled.
It
in
was
the
a
back
dark
of her
room.
chair. Yeah, I was looking.
And I
like,
had a vodka and soda.
I wasn't gonna let her fall asleep. I had very sharp elbows. Ask my husband.
No, I wasn't falling asleep. It was way too much, activities.
It was awesome. So yeah, it was a good day. Very busy, but very enjoyable. And so you guys, I guess we should spin the wheel, Kat.
It's the wisest thing we could do right now.
Spin it.
Okay, so it was for real, guys. This time
For real.
we are going to read Celia Revenbach's series of short stories. You can't drink all day if you don't start in the morning.
You don't start in the morning.
And she's just got some fun Southern homespun wisdom.
Yeah, so it's gonna be fun. This actually worked out because I didn't finish listening to it.
And I didn't even start.
Fake ass book club.
That's why I love it. And that's why we show up.
Fake ass book club. Okay, yeah, that was.
Yeah, write us a song, guys. Fake ass
Do
book club.
anything.
We got to just and reach out to us.
Absolutely, guys. Follow us.
We love hearing from you.
Yep.
It's the best.
The Fab Podcast across pretty much all the social
medias.
pretty much across all of our social media.
And the sociopaths.
Probably. And
Social media paths?
Yes. So holler at us, guys. I didn't do great this week. I was really busy. Couldn't really
No,
do a
you
lot.
did great this week. Look at you. You did
Social
great.
media wise.
Oh, you know what? You did better. You did more than most.
I mean, I posted something, I'm sure.
You did more than
It's
most.
cool.
And
Got
your
lots
body
of jobs.
belongs to you.
It does.
So be self-careful.
Be self-careful. You guys, be involved with and around people you love and who support you and make life good. I mean, we only have this much time. It's this much. Just, be involved in the stuff that makes you feel good because there's already so many terrible things like murder.
There's an awful lot of awful things we could be thinking of, but for just one day, let's only think about love.
Bye.
Before we go, we must give thanks to Urban Nerd for providing our music, and legal services were handled by Trezanae M. Atkins. If you like what you heard, please feel free to join us every Wednesday for another fake-ass book club.
Cheers. Thank you guys for listening. You can check us out at thefabpodcast.com. Please subscribe, rate, and review our podcast wherever you're listening right now. We want to hear from you. Come put it in our life. Thanks again, and until next time, peace, love, and the Fake Ass Book Club. We out.